I am Savvy Mike in this. As I am Savvy Mike TV, and Candace blew up the internet and then disappeared. Well, at least that's what she would like you to believe, right? She would like you to think that she told everybody that the French government has paid for her assassination and they want her off the map and killed. And they probably had something to do with Charlie Kirk's assassination as well. And she says she's next on the list. She's next on the docket. And then she's like, there will be no show because this is very serious matters. So she left for the week. But then you came to realize it was Thanksgiving. It was a holiday. So, I mean, maybe she just left because it didn't do a show because she wanted to take a break. She wanted to have a vacation. But Candace Owens does a lot of things that's mysterious and within this conspiracy web and all this shit that's going on. And while I'm not saying I don't believe her, because who truly knows? At the end of the day, I am a black man and I am skeptical of anything the government tells me. I'm just surprised she finally came to these grips and came to these conclusions that maybe just maybe the government might be doing some sneaky nasty shit. I mean, yeah, the same government that you promoted, you put in charge, the same people that you wanted to run this country is the same ones that you feel like killed your friend, or at least knows about who killed your friend at some higher up levels, and that this Tyler Robinson character is just a decoy. Like I said, at the end of the day, for me, seeing is believing. And if I get more proof, if I get more evidence, and Candace finds a way to lay all that out with a lot of detail, at the end of the day, I've yet to see any evidence that shows me that Tyler Robinson was an agent working for the Israeli or French government, and that there are more agents working for the Israeli and French government in this country looking to assassinate people that aren't basically playing puppets for their causes. That's what Candace wants us to believe. So at the end of the day, like I said, I'm open to it all. And Candace get over 100,000 people watching her live, so we might as well talk about it. But either way, she decided today on her show to address those bold claims and statements that she made on Twitter. Let's listen.
Get comfortable, you guys, because it is going to be a long week. I have so many explosive revelations to share with you, and now it feels especially urgent, right? Don't you feel a sense of urgency right now in the wake of me having learned that France apparently paid for my assassination and that the French Foreign Legion was apparently involved and on the ground at UVU on the day of Charlie Kirk's assassination? And we should probably begin there. Foremost, if you were one of the people online who believed for a single second that it was even a remote possibility that I simply made up a French assassination attempt heading into Thanksgiving week, I don't know, for like attention or something, I sat around and I said, I'm just not getting enough attention. How can I start a global conversation about me? And then I came up with this idea of creating fan fiction where I imagined myself as the victim of a multinational state plot to murder me. Yeah, if you thought that for a single second, that it was for funsies, because I'm not busy or anything, then you're just not sober, you're not paying attention to anything, and you need to wake up real fast. We're gonna move quickly through a lot of things this week because everyone in the world needs to wake up to how things actually work. LOL to the idea of Western democracy. LOL to the idea that you can win in life and that everything's basically, you've set the stage for a meritocracy and you can get ahead. No, actually, as you learn things, you become a target. You become a target to people that operate in the shadows. And that is, I think, what we are all learning in the wake of the last couple of months, especially.
And I want to say, it's not even as you learn things. It's as you grow the platform that you're growing, Candace. Even the platform that a man like Charlie Kirk was growing. And once you grow that type of platform, once you gain and garner that type of audience, yeah, shutting you up becomes way more valuable than letting you keep talking, because now you have the ability to sway opinions and move people a certain way, and that does indeed turn you into a target. It turned Martin Luther King into a target. It turned Malcolm X into a target. It turned Fred Hampton into a target. And while in no way I am in trying to compare those great, amazing people to the likes of somebody like Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk, I see where her thought process is. And like I said, I'm just surprised and shocked she finally got here. Like, how long did it take for her to realize that, yeah, they will shut you up by any means necessary? And who knows, you probably did blow up the spot. Maybe they did have you on the list, but at the end of the day, I don't know. It all does feel a bit loony to me, because somebody did say something that, while usually whoever said it, I don't usually agree with, but they did say something. They was like, how come all of the stuff that was going on with Charlie Kirk wound it back up to like what she was dealing with these French people, as far as like the president and his wife, and her being sued for calling his wife a man. Like, how come that found its way to that? I didn't know those two stories linked. How? It is kind of odd, you know. It makes you wonder. Maybe this is just some conspiracy bubble and web that she's convinced herself that Charlie Kirk's assassination has something to do with Brigitte Macron and the French government, and of course her being sued by them. They would of course want her dead next, right? I mean, makes sense, I guess.
Now, going back to November 25th, I obviously tweeted exactly what I was informed. Okay, I'm going to read that tweet to you in its entirety. Urgent. 2 days ago, I was contacted by a high-ranking employee of the French government. After determining this person's position and proximity to the French couple, I have deemed the information that they gave me to be credible enough to share publicly in the event that something happens. In short, this person claims the Macrons have executed upon and paid for my assassination. Yes, you read that correctly. More specifically, that the green light was given to a small team in the National Gendarmerie Intervention Group. I am told there is one Israeli that is on the assassination squad, and that plans were formalized. Again, this person provided concrete proof that they are well placed within the French government apparatus. Further to this point, this person claims that Charlie Kirk's assassin trained with the French Legion 13th Brigade with multi-state involvement. Journalist Xavier Poussard's life is also at risk. This is deadly serious. The head of state of France apparently wants us both dead and has authorized professional units to carry this out. I ask that every person retweet and share this. I do not know who in the American government can be trusted, since this source claims that our leaders are aware. But I have more specific information, which is definitively verifiable, should they care to reach out to me. And to the brave official in France who did this because they were so moved by the evil of Charlie's public execution to risk their own life, may God bless you truly. Let all be revealed. Now, I got even more specific, right? I said there was a paper trail that Macron allegedly paid $1.5 million. And I am saying allegedly because until I can physically see with my own eyes inside of these accounts and verify the transfer of that payment, it's of course alleged. The amount is alleged. 2 assassins were hired, one Israeli, one French-Canadian woman. Okay, a man and a woman. And I also said that the money ran through the elite gentleman Club des Cent. Again, I was very specific. And I asserted that the French Foreign Legion, which was a legion and a group that I had never heard about prior to this notification, were involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination. Okay, I don't follow military stuff. So me even mentioning specific gendarmerie, you have to assume that I got this information from somebody. Now, if you are, in fact, currently at this moment, the first man of France, that would be Brigitte Macron, and you are currently suing a podcaster in America named Candace Owens for defamation, for telling the truth, right? And the story that you are trying to sell to the public is that you were really deep down in your heart, you really believe that you are a woman and Candace is just crazy and desperate for clicks and willing to defame you for money, then Candace Owens publicly proclaiming and accusing you of something directly implicated in her assassination, a claim which has gone viral. When I say viral, I mean just the tweet alone had over 100,000 retweets and 45 million impressions on X alone, okay? This would be your unique opportunity as the French first man to prove your case about Candace to the public, right? In the court of public opinion. This would be your time to slam dunk. Remember, the French couple has been so psychotically obsessed with trying to paint me as conflicted in my reporting that they even hired a private investigator to try to see if I was colluding with other state actors. You know, they kind of gloriously insinuated that I might be working with Russia. They paid for that. They paid for that investigation. So using that logic, wouldn't this be the opportunity, if you're the French couple, to come out and to prove your point, to make a stunning and a swift statement, right? We are shocked by the accusation. Of course, never in a million years. Oh, we told you guys, this is just for clicks. It's for money. This is beyond anything we've ever heard. I hope Candace gets well soon. That would be what I would say you should do if I'm advising you from a PR standpoint, right? In American basketball terms, this is like a flagrant foul and you now get some free throws, right? If you're the French couple, you're going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees, investigative fees, and PR fees in a country on the other side of the Atlantic, trying desperately to paint me as a lunatic. And I give you the opportunity to spike the ball to prove that I'm a lunatic. And you don't do it? No, they didn't do it, did they? If you're paying attention, they did not do it. Of course, they send out the people on Twitter who get to come out and say, oh, I think she's crazy. I think she's making it up. They do this. We are always doing this every week. Oh, Trump never called her about Brigitte Macron. She's making that up for attention. Oh, she's lying. Charlie Kirk never changed his mind about Israel. She's making that up for attention. This is what we do every week, right? We're hamsters on a wheel. And so we're back to that again, right? People saying that I made it up. But what did the French couple do? That's what matters. It's now been a full week since I made that announcement. And here is the official response issued by the Élysée Palace. Nothing. I want you to bear in mind that this was front page global news from the United States to Russia. And I publicly challenged the Candace is making everything up crowd to prove it. Press the White House for a response, right? The White House the ball is very firmly in their court. And a week later, this is the official White House response. So what are we to make of that, you guys? Did I report it to the White House? Of course I reported it to the White House. Did I report it to the FBI? Of course I reported it to the FBI. Did I report it to our counterterrorism unit? Of course I reported it because I'm telling you there's a paper trail. Common sense. You think I'm just doing that because I'm assuming you could get a felony for making something up out of thin air like that. You can't just use United States resources to go after somebody in a plot that never existed that you did for clicks on YouTube. So what's the issue here? Why is no one coming out and telling you that that's completely baseless, especially the Charlie Kirk assassination? The whole world is invested in that assassination. Wouldn't you want to shut that down? The idea that it was a multinationally planned event? And by the way, is that on its face even plausible? Multiple agencies and multiple countries involved from Egypt to Israel. People are saying that's totally crazy. No, it's the lone shooter who had never been on campus, who climbed the roofs like Spider-Man, happened to know where Charlie would be sitting and hit that shot in 4 seconds. Is it plausible that that's not the truth? Of course it's plausible. Anyone who knows anything about the French government probably knows that they have an appetite for cruelty and sexual deviancy. Anybody who has made it through the first couple of episodes of Becoming Brigitte knows that the French government has an appetite for cruelty and sexual deviancy, okay? LOL. The city of romance, really? Romance with who? Exactly. That's one of the broader points of the Becoming Brigitte series. And so I'd like to thank Pavel Durov, the founder of Telegram, for being one of the first people to stick out his neck immediately and to assert what the entire world already knows about France. Here's what he said. He said, after reviewing everything Charlie Kirk has ever said about Macron's France, I find Candace's information about French involvement in his death entirely plausible. Charlie even called for 300% tariffs on France until the charges against me were dropped. And I also would like to shout out Freddie Ponton, who wrote this article reminding people, and when I say reminding, I mean teaching people, if you're me, because I didn't know this, that exactly this satellite of countries, France, Israel, the French Legion, the United States, Egypt, were quite literally involved in exactly this sort of operation, which further reaching global implications involving the Safari Club in Egypt. Now, if you haven't heard of that, this was the article that he wrote, passed as prologue, Safari Club illuminates Candace Owens' allegations. I had never heard of this. I really hadn't, okay? Because I feel like I'm Alice in Wonderland. A few years ago, I kind of believed everything the government said. I thought there were good guys. And after the Charlie Kirk assassination, I'm going, oh, wait, no. Nobody is a good guy. These are like gangs that are running the world, obviously. Gangs that have gone mainstream. And
that's when your mind changed, Candace. Not history. History didn't tell you that. No, when your friend, that's when it all changed. That's when your whole perspective on United States of America first, make America great again. White lives matter. All lives matter. That all changed when Charlie died. I guess, look, hey, sometimes it takes a monumental moment for you to see that all that bootlicking you've been doing, all that puppetry you've been playing, all that clown in the circus you've been tooting to is just, Charlie was clearly a dear close friend to Candace Owens, and clearly Charlie was probably still the reason that Candace was even allowed in those white rooms and circles, right? And when he passed away, as you can see, they started to distance themselves from her. And now she's virtually on an island alone. If anything, that should tell you about, trying to get in good with those type of people and then realizing they didn't want you there in the first place. And now you see it. Now you go, oh, shit, they didn't want, what? They didn't accept me? No, they didn't, and they never were. As long as you kept bootlicking, as long as you kept being their puppet, that's all that mattered. Once you stopped doing that and started doing your own thing and being your own person and having your own opinions and realizing what you've realized, yeah, they turn on you. Of course, that's just what happens either way. Pray for Candace Owens. At the end of the day, regardless of it for me, Candace is still who she is to me. She really is yet to garner any sympathy or empathy from me. She just did a lot of damage, and pushed a lot of things that she shouldn't have been pushing. And while I am able to forgive Kanye, I guess at some point I should find myself able to, and she's working towards it. At the end of the day, though, it's just a lot of things she said, a lot of things that she's championed, a lot of people that she's helped put in office. That is just like, all you're doing is doing damage to a community that you come from, whether you like it or not. You know what I mean? Like, you come from this. We are the same skin color, damn near exactly for me and her. So, when it comes to black people and black issues and black matters, I would expect you to care a little bit more than playing the puppet for the conservative side. That's for Candace. That's for Officer Tatum. That's for anybody who out there who chooses to be a raccoon. Either way, let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, I am Savvy Mike, and this is I Am Savvy Mike TV, where we stand firmly in the middle. There's no left or right for me. The only thing that's left or right is right and wrong. And that's how I see it. When you're right, you're right. When you're wrong, you're wrong. And seeing is believing. I don't believe anything you tell me. You got to show me. Because when people do this, 9 times out of 10, they're fucking lying. Peace.